Hello again, everyone. This is going to be another breakdown. Today we have Ethan Crelinsten and Dante Leon. Um, I was there to watch this live, so it's going to be interesting again to see this from another perspective. Before I get started, make sure to check out the link in the description. The Sweet Science of Fighting Underground. You can join the private community, submit your videos to be broken down by me. And you also get access to all the strength and training programs on the app. So make sure to check that out. I'm going to get started here. These two guys are move pretty quick. It's going to be pretty fast paced. So I may try to slow it down a little bit, but we'll see how it goes here. I think there's going to be a lot of transitions. These are 155ers, so they pretty much don't stop moving. Plus, these guys are really, really good. So this will be really interesting. I think there's a lot of wrestling in this as well. So they're tying up with each other and going right for it. I like that Ethan just shoots in for a single here pretty quickly. This is pretty fast paced. Drops to a Dante was actually dropping to a scissor guards or scissor sweep. It's actually an entry into the honey hole position. That technically is one of the most dangerous moves to pull off while standing. Not dangerous necessarily for him, but dangerous for Ethan because I've seen a lot of injuries happen from that type of injury. As a matter of fact, at my gym, we don't do that specific move. We do pretty much everything else, but there's one or two moves that we generally frown upon. But this specific one for our takedowns, this scissor entry takedown tends to be pretty dangerous. At a high level, maybe not so bad, but definitely don't want some beginners and white belts to be doing that. Unless they're just kind of specifically drilling it with someone. So anyways, it's an excellent counter. That being said, it's an excellent counter to single legs. So that's exactly what happened here. So he got into the honey hole. He started getting into that honey hole position. If you notice right here, he's trying to get that right leg reaped all the way through. He needs to get Ethan on his butt here, seated at a minimum. And, Ethan's staying heavy climbing on top and keeping this leg bent. Pretty critical that he keeps that leg bent. Good frame here with the arm here to keep Ethan away from him and trying to just get that distance. So right here, you see he got it. So he got the position, he got the reap position. Ethan still has not gone to the ground yet. He's still up and keeping his leg center. So this is good. He's probably going to start to try to open the legs here. And it'll be interesting to see which way Dante actually brings the leg. He can bring to the left, to the right. If he brings it to the right, he's going to end up in a more of a reaping position. I refer to this as a sambo knot position. A lot of people call it different names, but I first saw this move where you take the foot here and put it to the right and get a full reap position in sambo in the 90s, early 2000s, close to the 90s. That was the first time I saw this move. So actually, the instruction I was watching to learn this back in the early 2000s was actually from the 90s. So, anyways, that's a sambo knot position. I'm just going to call it sambo knot position. If he pulls it over to the left, he's going to end up into a honey hole position. So he's going to the right, legs on the outside. He's digging for the heel pretty quick. He's still going for it. So Ethan did a real good job. He opened the legs, and Dante felt that he couldn't actually get the position. So he did what a lot of good leg lockers will do, is when you're actually going for the leg lock, you actually hold on to the foot, and you can actually go forward. I mean, a lot of people forget that when you have a hold of somebody's leg, you can stand up with that leg. You can move forward with that leg. You can turn that leg lock into a pass. There's an old saying of like, all you do is leg locks, your passing sucks. Not anymore. I mean, you need to add leg locks as a threat to actually makes your passing technically better. That being said, it just adds another element of your passing. So So you can see he got up from the leg lock, he held the leg, and now he's into a passing position in more of a knee ride position. And this is pretty standard stuff. He's just kind of putting some pressure in. His hand is, you'll see this is a pretty common thing that a lot of advanced guys are doing these days, is just keeping that hand back on the foot here, keeping it pressed down. Always remember the top leg right here, the top knee and the top arm are always going to be the main thing you have to get around to get to the pass. Yes, the bottom arm and the bottom leg play a big part in this, but the knee shield and the top arm are your framing. Those are used best for framing. So just understand that you have to get around those. And so him pushing the foot down like that is actually trying to clear that knee shield just a little bit. We tried to attempt to go to a body lock here. Ethan's going inverted here, butt to the ceiling. This is another common concept and principle that we talk about a lot. You should always be, if you want to have an active guard, you need to be up on the shoulder with or butt to the ceiling. Now, this doesn't mean that all your guard is like this. This is more speaking to somebody really actively trying to pass you and you trying to maintain your guard. So retention. Retention, there's a lot of it is predicated on you having your quote unquote butt facing to the ceiling so that you can get up on that shoulder and you can invert. You don't have to invert. You can go back to your guard. You can reset the guard over and over and over. And you can dig position. So you can see right here, this bottom arm is trying to get this arm reap through. This could turn into a false reap position. He abandons it. You see he switched it to the top arm. Now the top arm is his top arm right here is much more effective with him going into the false reap. He will not be able to achieve the false reap. Dante controls his foot right here. Okay, and that's what he's doing. So he switches back to reverse de la Riva. He goes out of the reverse de la Riva. And Dante's just using, okay, so see, Dante is using, again, what I was saying earlier, use your leg locks to pass, okay? So as soon as he grabbed that leg, Ethan has to respond differently to this. This is no longer him just going into a knee ride and trying to pressure in. And now he's actually threatening a submission. He has to at least acknowledge this to a certain degree, especially at this level. If you're going against somebody that's not that great, whatever, you grab your foot, you'll get out. But at this level, you know that he actually will go for it and they won't let go and they'll be very tenacious with it. So it's good to address it early. But in doing so, you can compromise a bit of your guard retention and your guard. It takes you a little bit off your game. So see, it took him off his game where he had to wrestle up, which is good. Probably what he wanted to do anyways. So again, it goes to another idea that I always talk about, is that whenever someone is pulling away from your guard, you always want to make sure that you have it in your mind to drive forward. Okay, so even if you suck at wrestling or takedowns and you're just no good at them, I always say one of the hardest things, especially to teach beginners, is the entry point to a takedown, because it's very difficult to enter into a single or a double, especially for beginners. They find that to be the hardest. Once you get a leg, it still takes a ton of technique to get somebody down, but at least you have a hold of them. Okay, so what I always say is that when you have guard and you have an arm wrapped around the leg and the person pulls away, well, your arm is already wrapped around the leg, so you should be going forward. They're going to pull you up anyways by pulling away. And there's no harm in trying it. If you get up and you miss the leg and they pull away and then you don't want to wrestle, just sit back down to your guard. But always utilize that. Okay, so if somebody pulls away trying to pass your guard because you're doing a good job with your guard and they pull and you have a leg, stand up and take the leg right here. So he's holding onto that single, and you can see Dante goes again for that scissor entry. And he does a pretty good job here. He's on that leg pretty quick. He's got a honey hole position. So this is good for him now. So now he has the honey hole position. He has Ethan on his back. And now there's going to be a bit of a hand fighting, watching the knee line. Let's see what he does with the knee line. So Ethan's actually going for a counter here. Okay, so he's actually scooping the leg. He's going to try to free this leg here. or even keep it on top, maybe for a slicing position. So Ethan's doing a good job here. He's keeping Dante's leg open. So, okay, so Dante really needs this right leg right here to reap over and through Ethan's legs. If he can get this right leg reaped over, he can establish control and connection into a honey hole position on Ethan's leg. Ethan's doing a good job of holding this leg open, and that denies him the closed off position. So a lot of times with leg locks, as long as you just keep the person's legs separated, this can counter a lot of leg lock positions and allow you to get out, or at least to move. Now you can also see that Ethan's keeping his leg center here, right? And you know, Dante has an underhook on the leg. He's controlling the knee. He was trying to control the knee line here. And now what's happening is you can kind of start to see right here, you can see Ethan's right leg is actually beginning to pummel. Most leg lock entries, when guys are just going back and forth with leg locks, really watch for pummeling. Okay, so pummeling, who is getting the better of the inside position. Whoever wins the inside position will typically be on the offensive, and the other person will be on the defensive. There are some leg locks that you actually can attack from the outside, like De La Hiva ankle locks and things like this, where you don't have to have an inside position. But certainly when you watch these leg lock attacks, you're going to see a lot of pummeling. A good pass attempt there, just good guard retention. Again, you see this knee down here. He's going into this kind of knee right position, and you can see Ethan's countering this position with a knee shield and type of Z guard, almost a Z guard. The legs are not crossed here. You would see an X with his legs if he was really utilizing the Z guard, you know, to create to generate space, or to pull him in, or to rock him back and forth. The Z guard is a whole game in and of itself. It's a whole guard, very dynamic. So another good thing to watch here is Ethan's control of his posture. Now he's going back to the inside position. So this is just kind of wearing on putting pressure in here. This is, they're at a bit of a stalemate right here. This is it's not, you know, certainly, you know, Ethan is bearing weight. So I suppose he's probably spending a little more energy. But not much happening here. You know, Ethan's really trying to dig. He's very active here. If you know, again, he's on his shoulder. This is very active. If you see guys in the gym, the guys that are going on their shoulder and not always inverting. You don't have to invert. I'm on my shoulder all the time, and I don't necessarily invert. I'm too old to invert anymore. I do invert, but I invert during certain times. Okay, so I don't invert underneath people anymore. I don't really do that because it's not, just bad for your neck, bad for your back. But I'll certainly invert if I'm on the outside, like with the type of position that Ethan's in right now. I would certainly invert, no problem, because I'm not bearing any weight. And it creates all kinds of different positions. I can go under the legs, barambolo. I can do all these things, or just reset the position. So you can see, I can see where Ethan's kind of going with this. He would like to have, to step back maybe on this leg or dig under the leg here. But again, Dante's just controlling his top leg. Controlling that top leg is huge. So you can see Ethan went on his shoulder, went underneath. All right, crossing over. Okay, so again, it was just a bit of a foot fight there. Dante is trying to get around those feet, and Ethan's doing a good job of just pummeling him back on the inside and getting back to his original kind of Z-guard type closed off knee shield type of position. Again, you see, watch Dante's right hand is always monitoring that top leg. And this will be exhausting for the person on bottom. So now this is getting interesting because Dante is actually getting connection with the head and shoulder area. If you've ever seen anything I've talked about with passing, as soon as somebody can start to get connection with the head or shoulder region, this is when they can start to transfer the pressure on the pass. So in other words, if you get chest to chest connection, you can pass with your legs. You can configure your legs and pass in any kind of way. You've already essentially passed the guard. So I'm always weary. I always explain to guys, always deny connection with your head when somebody's passing. Okay, there are exceptions to that, and this is one of the exceptions you're looking at right now. Ethan is not in a terrible position here. He has inside position. His right arm is underneath the armpit. He can start to, he has an inside position here. He has inside position with his right hand, and he still has his knee shield to contend with. So he could go underneath Dante if Dante doesn't watch his balance, but certainly he will. And he's just going to hug here. See, he's like grabbing the neck right here. And now Ethan's countering this with a frame. Now that nothing happens, it's just nullified. And this is the beauty of jiu-jitsu. It's a chess game. It's back, forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it just takes a fraction of a second or somebody not to respond timely, or maybe even do the wrong response for something to go wrong. Okay, right here. So you can see, I like this hook on the far armpit here. This is going to pull and allow Ethan to start going to an inverted position. And you notice his right hand here is under the leg. So he's getting ready to invert. And then, Dante pulls away. So he lost his hook. He lost both his connections with his arms to Dante because Dante pulled away while keeping his base low. All right, so he goes inverted here. So going back to this original position, trying to get that knee slice, and Dante's pretty close there to almost getting that knee slice. The knee was kind of hanging over a little bit too far, but it's fine. Ethan has his knee shield back. Again, this is very wearing for the person on bottom. This is just constant pressure. Dante's countering every attack, but maintaining top position, maintaining pressure going forward. This is an excellent job on both guys' parts here. The retention. So now you can start to see Ethan's legs starting to cross here. There's a difference. That's a Z guard. Now Z guard, he can start to arch away from Dante to create space, or pull into Dante, or even pull Dante around. Pull him around at different angles with his legs. So this is I'm a big fan of Z guard. I think it should be a part of everybody's game. He let go of the Z guard. He's switching back to a knee shield. Underhook. Could possibly wrestle up. But, Dante's too he's too heavy here. He's not allowing any kind of wrestle up here. Trying to get to a dogfight. So you see that, I could already sense that he was trying to get up. Because if you monitor that underhook, his right arm is always trying to underhook. You see guys that are just good at wrestling, and they just throw that underhook up and they reach for that. They'll reach for this far shoulder over here just to get this right. Get your right arm really forward. If they can do that and they can reach for this far arm, they can get a good underhook. And then when they switch their hips and they go to their knees, they're going to be in a pretty good position here. I do like the lace going on back here. This is an interesting position. The leg configuration is interesting. If it can go one or two ways. Dante is actually in an Uchimata position from which is interesting, from both hands on the mat. Ethan here could start to turk the leg if this knee actually starts to hits it down to the mat. And you see there's a battle right now with that. It's there. And you see the Uchimata 1. It is not, I'm not going to say that was, traditional Uchimata. You're going to look up judo and look up Uchimata and be like, that wasn't Uchimata. It is from a grounded position. You can use this a lot, especially in dog fights and things like that. When you get into dogfight positions and your leg is on the inside, you can posture up and start to use these like kind of hip tosses in that type of position. And you can see how that actually worked. If Ethan would have turned that corner and got that Turk on that leg, and he would have been able to win that battle. So now there's a little better connection now with the top. And now look at here. You can see that the top knee has been passed. Okay, so now this is technically a problem, and Ethan is going to have to really work to get out of this now. Before wasn't too much work, just bearing a lot of weight, but Now that the top leg has been passed, now you're starting to see this like this right hand right here. This is Dante's right hand trying to get a body lock. He has his arm around his waist. And Ethan's doing a good job here. He's trying to walk his hips out, trying to get his knees down so he can wrestle back up or at least get to turtle. You see he's going up here. Okay, so he made it to turtle. He's trying to get up. Again, the same position. There's a turking of the leg and there's a hip toss of the leg, uchimata of the leg. Now they made it up, but he gets back down. Gets him back down. I mean, that just takes an incredible amount of energy on Ethan's part to try to get up from that position. He did a really good job of actually getting to his feet. And I was actually surprised he actually got to his feet when I was watching this. But Dante was still in control on top and had the dominant position or the high ground. As they say, he just had the dominant position. I mean, Ethan was having to work out of a position and to get back in control, and Dante had control the whole time. So they're going to reset them here back to their to the position they've been at for a while. Guy with sunglasses, big sunglasses. I don't know. Maybe he's got something wrong with his eyes. I don't know. I'm not going to judge him. Those are crazy dark glasses, though. All right, so here we go. Back to the same position. Okay, so now we're going for a reverse Ilahiva, abandon the reverse Ilahiva. Okay, so now we're going to a false reap position if he can get that left leg over. Controlling the posture, bringing Dante down. This is a good idea. Dante trying to go to the other side. He stopped it, switched to the other side. And you see right there for a second, Ethan was throwing that underhook in to try to get up, and then he switched it to this crossface because Dante had already beat the top leg. So again, just really watch that top leg. Whenever that top leg's beat, boom, he has inside position. Always remember, inside position is between the armpit and the hip. If a leg or an arm gets in between Ethan's inside position here, now he's going to have to work to get out or work to improve his position, which he did. He worked pretty hard there to get there, and then now back to his legs started to get entangled. He's holding onto that knee, trying to scoop it there. Okay, he abandoned that. Going back to controlling posture, back to his knee shield position. Again, this is a great, honestly, Ethan's playing a great game here. I mean, this is, he's teetering between reverse Ilahiva, this knee shield. He's threatening wrestle ups. He's threatening some false reaps, leg entanglements, inversions. So this is great. I mean, this is a great guard. It's just that Dante is just, he's really good on top. He has good base. His passing is really good. So his wrestling is good. So he has to, it's going to be a little more difficult. And he just keeps that constant pressure in, right? You see he's pushing that leg out of the way and pushing that arm out of the way. Now he's trying to put some pressure in. And again, what's saving Ethan here is this really good frame. I like this frame that Ethan's doing. It just generates space. I mean, frames and wedges, your frames are going to be one of your the best tools that you can use when playing your guard. So a good frame and really understanding your frames is critical. So he gets a hold of a leg to reverse Ilahiva. He's going inverted. Dante kind of swipes it off, comes back forward here. Okay, so now this is starting to get interesting because there's a pattern here, okay? And so it's dangerous to start seeing like this pattern because Dante has figured out the pattern. Ethan understands the pattern, obviously, and he keeps doing it. He keeps doing it because it's working. It is technically working, but now you're starting to see, which is what we don't want to see, is the difference in energy being spent. It used to be an old school jiu-jitsu. It was like, just tire the guy out and so you can just do whatever you want with him. And that's certainly a strategy. Not so much a strategy anymore, but it still kind of is. I mean, if you're using less energy than the other person, you're just being more efficient. Okay. And the other person is having to obviously work harder, and in doing so, becoming tired is going to make more mistakes. He's not going to be able to do as much as he would normally do, obviously fresh. And this is with all sports, obviously. So this is where timing starts to get a little off. This is where, mistakes technically start to be made. And especially when the pattern has been figured out, right? They both understand, I've seen the same sequence of moves now, I don't know, 10, 15 times. And so, he's in it here. Okay, so now he's trying a little bit of something different, posting the foot on the hip. Just that constant pressure, that constant passing. Okay, good. So that was a good switch. So now he's Ethan switched to a leg lock. He was able to swim that right leg through. The right leg's going to try to cross over and reap. He's going to try to get that reap, but right here, right at the bat, Dante stands up and gets a heavy leg here, heavy straight leg. And what he's going to probably start trying to do is try to push his feet down. So push the feet down to free his knee line. Once he gets the knees retracted like this, where Ethan's knees are here, he can simply just start to step out or maybe even start to take the back and do some cool stuff. So you can see once the legs are down by the knee, you can hold on to it and try to invert and do other things and, be sticky with it. But, sometimes it's better just to wrestle. So Ethan, if you notice right there, Ethan still had his foot, and he was, again, this is a good example of, using a leg lock to go forward and to wrestle up. You have the leg already, right? This is good. He lost the leg. Dante twinkle-toed out. This is a classic thing that we do in wrestling when somebody grabs a single or something, especially a single leg. You just push the head down or push on the shoulder, and then you turn away and twinkle-toe your foot out. This is a very common escape. But that's good. So Ethan's doing good here. He's up, right? He's up from that same position. They're going to start to wrestle a little bit. I don't want to see him, I'd hate to see him go back to that same position. But he looks fresh, so this is good. Again, these guys are 155, so they're going. They can go for freaking an hour. And I've watched that 2.5 hour match they had with gosh, I don't remember who it was now. All right, so a lot of hand fighting. Okay, so they had controlling posture, changing levels, just all standard wrestling stuff. Again, I just want to mention this real quick with your wrestling. When you have these tie-ups like this, and you're both symmetrical, you're both with the same exact position. All right, Dante has his right hand. Ethan has his right hand on the head. Dante has his left arm on the elbow. Ethan has his left arm on the elbow. Right, and they just push back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And nothing wrong with this at all. I do it. I get tired, and I'm like, I just want to lean on the guy and have the guy carry me around, especially if I'm 5-6 minutes in. I'm just going to lean on the guy, and if I can get a tie up, that's great. It's a bit of a resting position. And you can obviously produce a ton of stuff from there. I get all kinds of things from tie up positions. Usually guys don't allow to even get to a tie up sometimes. I always advise guys not to go into just these positions where these mirrored positions to where that, he has the same thing you do. It's just like in 50-50 and all these positions that are the same. But it is, I understand that, in the middle of a match or further into the match, you're going to need this position to kind of rest a little bit and see if you can gain something. It's a pretty safe thing to play with. So now they've disconnected. Boom. That was beautiful. So what had happened there was, we just watched that again because that would happen so fast. He snapped him down, and then he shot in with his right leg here to get that trip while driving forward. He got the single and then switched to a double. That was beautiful. Jesus, I couldn't really pull that off. I don't think that was fast. So that was good. And now he got Ethan down to the ground, back to the same position most likely. And Ethan's being active here. He's not just falling to the side here. He's going up on his shoulder and he's being active. This is what I'd like to see Ethan doing when he was in those in that Z guard type position and was just kind of hanging out there and just defending the whole time. If he gets on the shoulder, he's much more active here. He can roll through like he's doing now, try to attack the back. So he just did a perfect kiss of the dragon from reverse Elahiva. Now he's going through the back. This foot's through. He can start to pull his left knee through right here and start to actually attack the back. But let's watch Ethan's hand, or Dante's hands. Dante's hands, you see that? He's going to smash that leg down. This is no longer good. Ethan's going to try to hold onto this leg, but this position is much more difficult now for Ethan. One, he's upside down, his knees in his face, and he's just, Dante's pushing that foot down. He's not going to let that. He's not going to let this foot go until he feels safe enough that Ethan's not going to get to his back, which he's not going to get to his back anymore here because his head's over here, and that there is no leg entanglement. So now that he didn't have the back, he can let go of it. And Ethan did a really good job of switching back to a leg lock. But again, you get that strong, heavy leg, and you just push the feet down. That was good. But look at the knee line. So the knee line was lost right there during that transition. You just push the feet down, start to free your knee. And this is proper leg lock defense. Especially with, Ethan's really good at leg locks. I mean, again, I constantly say this. I sound like a broken record, but, the leg lock defense is very simple. Okay. And it's very easy to understand. And if you get good at it, it's very difficult to leg lock you. Which means that to be offensive with leg attacks, it's very complex and very difficult. Okay, so I always say I can tell you how to defend legs in 30 seconds or less. I can give you like three of the main things you need to do to monitor to escape leg locks, most of them. But to teach you leg locks and to all the different positions and eye positions and all the different grips and all the different entries, this takes a very, very long time. Okay, so now Dante's going with an underhook here, and I was actually just teaching this past couple weeks, is doing this kind of pressure passing, but going with an underhook instead of an overhook. He lets it go. Goes just to this like pressure end position, making Ethan carry the weight, and see if Ethan's going to make a mistake. There he goes again. See that hand touching that foot? Yep, always pressing that foot down. And Ethan's always threatening to get up. He's always up on this elbow here, very active. I always recommend always try to be up on that elbow. Be active. If you're not attacking, with specific guards, just be up on that elbow. It's going to be difficult to pass. Go into the same position. Okay, so you notice Ethan's still trying to get that hook, and Dante has heavy hips. It's kind of sprawled out. Ethan has a good frame. Same position they've been playing. He's trying to get connection with the hands so that he can bring this knee over and he can start to go for another leg entanglement. This is not going to happen. Switch. Okay, so Dante actually used that opportunity for that moment to try to switch and get control of the head here. He has a good connection with the head. He's kind of switched his hips to drop back here. Ethan's going to, but Ethan has his hands connected. So either Ethan's going to start to try to invert here, and he's trying to invert, and so he didn't get the invert, so now he's framing away. Got to watch out for the leg. He pushes the knee line down, scrambles out, gets to the back. So that was a very good sequence. That's it. This is there's a principle here. Whenever you go for leg locks, the type of leg lock you're going for, you're typically giving back exposure. There are certain positions that expose your back more than others in leg locks. And, that was certainly the case here. We kind of went up inverted, and as Dante turned that corner, you can see the back. Again, if you can see the back, you can attack it. So, that's exactly what happened here. So just always remember that when you're going for leg locks, not only are you giving up your legs also, typically, that they can be counterattacked, but you're also giving up back attacks. And so this isn't such a great position, I would say, for Ethan here, because Dante has a hold of his hips. He has a grip on his hips. Not the end of the world. If Dante loses a little bit of balance here, or Ethan's able to get Dante forward, then he can start to expose this leg. But if this leg just stays heavy, it's going to be hard to pull him, get to that leg. See how Dante's now pressuring his head down and keeping this right knee very, very heavy. He's smashing Ethan. He's compressing him, and the more he compresses him, it's much more difficult. You can't generate any force to get that leg over. And the reason why we're playing this little game here is because, Dante sees the back and he doesn't, he's okay kind of giving that leg, that weight off that leg just a little bit because he's starting to get the back. So there's this little teetering. There's teetering here. Okay, so there's a lot of in between being played here. A delicate balance. Look at this. Dante has a hook around the neck here, and the back is almost. He's almost going to get to the back. What's saving Ethan here is he's holding on to this leg. If he lets go of this leg, Ethan's going to get to his back, and he's trying to keep this leg. He's trying to push this leg and keep this here. He's trying to get Dante to the right over here, trying to push everything probably to the right so that he can get this leg light, the left leg, the right leg, Dante's right leg, really light. Notice his back leg here, what the left leg is doing right here. The left leg is kind of pinning this leg to the ground. Now remember, one of the rules for many leg lock escapes is splitting the legs and keeping the legs open. Look at the distance between Ethan's legs here. I mean, they're just split wide open. So this is going to be difficult. Okay, so now so now he's got a gable grip. The amount of pressure you can start to put on here is pretty dramatic. So Ethan can hold on here to the leg, but as soon as that leg goes down, we're going to see some sort of transition. So now this is no good for Ethan. You can see he's having to abandon the leg. Because of this pressure here. Now he's in danger, of like a head and arm triangle. He's in danger of that happening. You see Dante's head's getting to the mat. And now he's in danger. But now you see he goes to turtle. He has to go to turtle to counter that head and arm, which is a good job. But, he's giving up the back. And, actually, as a matter of fact, I just didn't see that, but Ethan just tapped. And the reason why is because that head and arm was actually locked. You can't see it here, but the figure 4 is locked in, and this hand is going across the back. So it was a head and arm from the back. It was just probably so damn tight, and it was probably very painful as well. Yep. So that was from the back, and exhausting for the person on bottom. It was a great match. It was good to see, really good guard play, but Dante just had a really good passing game, really good balance on top, pretty much countering, understanding the game that Ethan was trying to play, at this specific with this specific match. Ethan is a phenomenal grappler. So is Dante. So it was a really good. Ethan got the better. Dante got the better of Ethan here, and it was just because the you could see the pattern in the match, and now that once Dante figured this out, what was the game plan, he was able to shut it all down. I didn't really see any time, maybe once, maybe or twice, that you can see there was some question of Dante in trouble here, but not really. I mean, it was just very good top domination. That being said, Ethan did a really, really good job with his guard. I mean, it was great guard retention, great attacks, nothing, it was just just really two high level guys going at it, and just takes one mistake or one timing, just being off of timing. One of them being off of timing just a little bit, and that's it. It's over. So good wrestling. A lot to learn from this match, and I'll be doing more of these in the future. This was actually a pretty good event, so I'm going to keep coming up with more of these to break down. And if you have any videos or even footage of yourself rolling and things like that, feel free to submit it, and I'll do a review on that as well. So that's it. Thanks.